Want to know what happens when you don't fear the narcissist? Well, it's interesting because I always say that the narcissist is actually more afraid of you than you are of them. And it's actually true, but they really don't want you to know that. So it's kind of a gradual process because they have been conditioning you from the beginning. So they're kind of shocked. But, it's a gradual process on your behalf too. So you don't just show up not fearful either. So it's kind of this dance that you both are now starting to play. And I always sort of imagine it as you're sort of righting the ship because they're on top of you in one sense. And so, you're feeling like you're constantly on the defensive. And so you are course correcting. And once you are righting the ship and you've kind of course corrected and you no longer have fear, that's when it's all turned around and you no longer have that fear. So what's it like when you no longer have that fear? That's when it really all turns around. And I'm Rebecca Zung, by the way. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, now's a really good time to do that. I am an attorney. I'm a narcissist negotiation expert. And I spend all my time teaching people how to really become powerful against narcissists, how to actually create strategy, create leverage, shift the dynamic, flip the dynamic, become fearless against narcissists, and really feel their power. And so I've really helped thousands of people. And I know what it's like when you become fearless against narcissists, when you no longer have that fear against narcissists. I know what it's like. And what happens when you no longer have fear against narcissists? Well, there's so many different things that happen when that power dynamic shifts. And I've seen it happen so many times, but it's a gradual process. Okay, because, they're in it for the supply. People think they're in it to win it. They're not in it to win it. They're in it for the supply. They're only in it for the supply. And they're in it for many different forms of supply. And one of the things that I have to explain to people a lot of times is that when you go into the discard phase of the relationship, they really actually shift the form of supply that they've been getting from you. Okay, so you understand, right, that there have been the different phases of the relationship. They start off with the whole love bombing thing, that charm, which is all really just to get that supply out of you in the first place. They want to get as quickly as possible to the next phase so that they can start getting the supply out of you as fast as possible. And so as fast as possible, they want to get to the next phase, which is the devalue phase. But it's really more to start exerting control over you because they want to start showing you that they're powerful. And they want to start letting you know that they're in control of you. How they do that is devaluing you in some ways and letting you know that you are under their thumb. And they also are testing you in that devaluing phase. Okay. So part of the ghosting and the devaluing and all of that is to test you to see how you react when they do those kinds of things. Are you going to be a good source of supply for them? So then, when you start to pull away, they're coming back just, oh, no, I don't want you to go because I need you. Leaving them is actually the worst thing that you could possibly do. They have a very, very, very fragile ego. You're really there to serve that need for supply for them. So then when you enter into that discard phase and you actually do start to want to leave them, they want you to be afraid of them. They want you to fear them. And so then when you do start to leave them, they're afraid of that. They don't want you to leave them because they want you to be afraid of them. They want you to fear them. So now it happened. You've been fully conditioned. So you start to leave them. They go into their tantrum phase. Everything that they have done to control you throughout the relationship, they're going to get worse on. They're going to start to collapse, go crazy. And if you want to know more about what happens when the narcissist starts to collapse, you can definitely check out my video on the narcissist collapse. Not pretty, definitely not pretty. So they start going crazy. They don't want you to leave. So when you do start to leave, now, they start grasping. They go into all their phases of whatever they were doing in the first place. Now, when you do start to leave, they're going crazy, right? So smear campaigns, flying monkeys, all of that. And then in the middle of a divorce, by the way, it's the worst, depending on what kind of narcissist you're dealing with. It could be covert, malignant, grandiose, but they're not providing documents. They're using the court system as a sword. They might only provide a certain amount of documents. They're hiding money. They might be manipulating text messages, manipulating evidence. They might be tampering with witnesses, evidence, lying to the court system, using the children as pawns in the whole thing, suddenly interested in having the children half the time, trying to get the children to be against you. I mean, whatever it is that they need to do, right? Now you finally are getting past all of that and you start to see through them and you're on the other side of that and you start to realize how strong you actually are and you start to really realize how pathetic they actually are. And you start to realize how strong you actually are. You start to realize that you are actually the stronger one. And you've gotten on the other side of seeing how you've actually been able to slay this beast. You will be so shocked at how they behave. They're going to be avoiding you. They don't want to go anywhere near you. And by the way, they do trade forms of supply. I started to mention that. So whatever form of supply they were getting from you in the relationship, whether it was money, services, sex, you were doing stuff for them, they trade that during the discard phase for manipulating you, making you crazy. People think they just want to win. They don't just want to necessarily win because they trade that for driving you absolutely insane. And that's why these cases never settle, because they love jerking you around. But when you don't fear them anymore, that's when they don't actually want to have anything more to do with you because you're no longer a good source of supply. And by the way, that's the type of person that the narcissist most respects, the person who doesn't fear them. So I want you to write in the comments right now, no fear, because that's your goal. That's your goal. Your goal is no fear. So for those of you who are ready to go there, I want you to subscribe to this channel right now. Subscribe, hit that notification bell if you haven't done that already. And make sure that you like this video and share it for others who need this content and need this empowerment, because it is time that we all have no fear against narcissists, right? And if you are getting ready to negotiate with a narcissist, feel free to crush my negotiation prep worksheet at winmynegotiation.com, 15-page free ebook for anybody who is getting ready to negotiate. And feel free to join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung, for extra support. I'm here for you. We are all here for you. Remember, today's a great day to start negotiating your best life. Never give in and never give up. And I will see you in the next video.